I had a really fantastic time with the Fantastic Four. Don't at me. Shantae Advanced Riskier Evolution, the last chapter in the Shantae series, had finally released a few weeks ago on consoles and Steam. Now, even after this short, there were people playing the GBA version in less than cumbersome ways, and others still patiently waiting for the console release. At first glance, going for the latter was a surefire decision, knowing my enjoyment with the previous Shantae games on PC as I've reviewed them, but then the not separate $10 DLC pack was unveiled and the game itself. Somehow, this modern version has some major issues like slowdown for weaker PCs and several brand new glitches that didn't originally appear on GBA. In other words, this is what I consider a deal breaker, especially given that you don't usually ask for a GTX 1060 to play a retro style game in its minimum requirements. So if you want to buy the game right now, just get it on console, as that'll likely be a better version than the one that's fit for 2016 mid-range GPUs and above. But then again, if you're on PC, you always have options, and that's a good thing. To begin this review, let's start with the plot. There's a long and well-detailed prologue that gets you up to speed with Shantae's origin, and it explains everything you need to know, including her powers, sick kinland, and setting up the stage for a feisty confrontation with her nemesis, Risky Boots. In terms of the timeline, the game takes place between the first Shantae game and Risky's Revenge, where you witness Risky's second plan of taking over the world by switching the skies of neighboring regions to their opposites, therefore fucking with the residents of every area you visit to. And truth be told, the characters, dialogue, and story beats in this entry are as great as ever. You do have your usual tropes here and there, but the excellent chemistry between the characters is all in its campy glory, and the gags reminded me of a certain director's works for anyone with recency bias.
See anything unusual?
Define unusual.
The graphics look great on the GBA alone, where every color shines and pops, whereas the soundtrack is a bit worse despite being done by the same composer as 1 in 7 Sirens. In fact, 2 of the songs in this game already felt like trailer music to me. Now that may sound odd for you since the other games didn't have this vibe for me, but I guess that's the result of having seen every single preview they were showcasing leading up to release. And of course, here are some of the better tracks in this soundtrack. Oh look! Here's a breezy tutorial here. It explains the gameplay to a newcomer and is easily skippable, so it's effective and intuitive at the same time. And speaking of the gameplay, it's as good as it gets. You have the usual elements, namely the hair and the dancing, but the latter was made even simpler compared to Risky's Revenge and Half Genie Hero. And each of these transformations is set in the best time and place to be utilized, and they're all familiar and fun to work with. And the teleportation system is also really simple. It's similar to Pirate's Curse, wherein you got Sky's Bird taking you to every place. The good thing is you don't have to deal with any warping crap, and that's a good thing. And yes, saving is a crucial element to the experience, and even the game tells you to save frequently. Not sparingly, but every time you encounter the save guy. However, the boss battles felt pretty meh for me. Like, sure, they initially pack a good minute of challenge, but become tedious a little while after. They look like they drive the plot and difficulty forward, so there's that. However, I couldn't help but notice the lack of memorability in these bosses. In terms of pacing, the game was a bit too automated for me at the start, which may sound like a good thing on paper, but it also gets tired really quickly. There's a heavy reliance on this structure wherein you go from point A to point B to talk to an NPC, to then go to another NPC in the next area and then to the real deal, giving you a space to breathe in between the platforming action, yet it also feels like irremovable padding to anyone wanting faster action. While yes, I imply that the writing is as good as ever, the way they handled the sequence in-game could have been a bit breezier. Meanwhile, the action areas and dungeons can be overwhelming to navigate, considering the abundant amount of elements to work with as well as the lack of a map menu, so there's a chance you could be incredibly confused as to where you should go. Even in the otherwise simple-looking pathways, there seems to be an artificial sense of depth with the action areas having too long stretches of layers alone. For instance, it could have taken me an eternity to get around Naga Cliffs. And it's all because of these pathways and switches I had to look out for just so I can activate the dungeon in this area. And trust me, if you easily get lost in this kind of game, then prepare to take a while. And my vision got so bad to the point where I thought I was analyzing some anatomy or something, all because I thought that half the map looked like bullshit. Overall, Risky Revolution didn't impress me as much as I would have liked it to be. While I've enjoyed the writing and ambition this game had to offer, the technical and gameplay elements are as good as they always were, and the game felt sandwiched together with super glue, offering less than splendid action whilst offering more bloat than necessary at the same time. But then again, that's not to say that this game is totally bad, as Risky's Revenge is still objectively worse in every aspect now. Yet Pirate's Curse, Half Genie Hero, and Seven Sirens all had their charms that made each game worth playing. This game's selling points in comparison are that this is the lost chapter, and I guess screwing over your extra $10 for skins that don't really matter in the end. So if you're asking me, I'd say this is a game purely for the hardcore fans despite that wonderful little tutorial tucked in. This isn't the end of my way forward coverage though, as I still have River City Girls and My Switch Force to go. What could you do for the $34.99 instead? Well, first of all, you can get the entirety of Hollow Knight Silksong for $15 less. The most popular game right now with 100% more value for your money. Add that budget to a premium game like Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Invest in some fresheners for your home. And always treat yourself with a nice, happy meal.